As I drove my wife and her friends to their lavish spa getaway, their animated chatter filled the car with a lively hum. From the back seat, my wife's voice sliced through the noise with a sharp quip. Honestly, he's like a lost dog. Give him a small treat, and he's all devotion and tail wags. So easy to handle. Her friends burst into giggles, each laugh a needle pricking my pride. When we arrived at the resort, she stepped out without a glance my way, slamming the door and tossing a final barb. Make sure you wash the bedding before I'm back. It smells like you. Her companions' laughter rang out as they strolled away, leaving me to face a 4-hour drive home, wrapped in a heavy, wordless void. Days later, she showed up at my door, her face wet with tears, begging for a chance to talk. The car held a subtle aroma of brewed coffee and waxed leather as I steered through twisting roads, my grip firm on the wheel. In the back, my wife and her trio of friends buzzed with excitement for their extravagant weekend, their voices weaving a tapestry of gossip, laughter, and the click of phone cameras. I didn't mind giving up my weekend to chauffeur them 4 hours out of town. It felt like a gesture of love. But then her words cut through, delivered with a smug grin. He's like a stray mutt, really. Just throw him a scrap, and he'll do whatever you want. Her friends' laughter erupted, each cackle a blow to my dignity. My hands tightened on the wheel, knuckles whitening, but I kept my eyes on the road, swallowing the urge to retort. At the Grand Resort, she climbed out without a look back, slamming the door and calling, "Don't forget to clean those stinking sheets before I return." Her friends snickered, their heels clacking as they strutted off. I sat still, staring at the empty highway, facing a silent 4-hour journey home. That drive stretched on, not with tears or anger, but with a growing awareness of my wife's true character and the path I had to take. By the time she came back, pleading for mercy, the man she'd mocked as a tame pet would hold the reins. As the resort faded from my rearview mirror, a dense silence cloaked me, heavy and unyielding. The road unfurled endlessly, each mile echoing her cruel words. Stray mutt, easy to handle, stinking sheets. I couldn't escape the mental replay, not by choice but by necessity. She hadn't just insulted me. She'd stripped my worth bare before her audience, reducing years of dedication and sacrifice to a cheap joke. Yet, as the miles rolled by, my fury honed into clarity. This wasn't a sudden betrayal. The clues had always been there. Her dismissive tone at meals, the sly digs in company, the way her affection vanished when we were alone. I'd ignored it, blaming her stress or tough days, anything but the reality, disdain. At a quiet gas station midway home, I glimpsed my reflection in the window, tired eyes, worn shirt, but beneath it, a flicker she'd ignored, resilience. She thought her taunts had weakened me, but her mistake had set me free. Pulling into our driveway, the house looked the same, but I was transformed. I'd left as a husband desperate to maintain harmony. I returned as a man ready to dismantle the life of someone who saw him as expendable. When she returned, tears streaming, she'd discover how gravely she'd misjudged me. Stepping into the empty house that night, a chill lingered, but I welcomed the stillness. It gave me room to plan. For days, I moved through life as if unaffected, going to work, cooking simple meals, even cleaning the bed she'd mocked. To the world, I was the same, but beneath, I was strategizing. Her words hadn't shattered me. They'd sparked a deliberate resolve. Quietly, I began untangling our lives. I pored over bank records, spotting every hidden expense she'd kept from me. Late at night, I accessed her neglected tablet, finding group chats and private messages where her friends didn't just laugh. They enabled years of subtle belittlement. A discreet meeting with a lawyer clarified my standing. The house, our savings, the accounts were more secure than she'd thought, especially with proof of her verbal cruelty. Each finding dulled the hurt, replacing it with purpose. I wasn't gearing up for a confrontation or loud argument. I was laying the groundwork for her world to collapse under the weight of her own arrogance. Then days later she returned, mascara streaking her face, voice shaking, knocking frantically for a chance to speak. Her friends were nowhere, but she didn't yet realize that while she'd been ridiculing me, I'd been reshaping her future. It was a calm Saturday evening when the urgent knocking started. I opened the door to see her, the woman who'd laughed at my expense, now disheveled, mascara smeared, eyes swollen, clutching her bag like a lifeline. Please, just hear me out, she stammered, her voice cracking. She glanced back, as if expecting her friend's support, but she stood alone. The women who jeered in the car were gone now that her actions had consequences. Through tears, she pleaded. I didn't mean it. It was just a stupid joke. I say things I don't mean when I'm nervous. But her words felt hollow. I'd replayed her taunts too many times to believe they were accidental. She hadn't been nervous in that car, she'd been smug. I stood in the doorway, silent, letting her words twist in desperation. My calm unnerved her, and in that moment she sensed the change. I was no longer the man who sought her approval. I held the power now. The house, the finances, the truth of her cruelty. Her tears weren't for me. They were for the life she saw slipping away. When she whispered, "Please give me another chance," I knew this wasn't about reconciliation. It was about her facing the rejection she'd once dealt me. Her tears marked the marble doorstep, but I offered no solace, no invitation to enter. I stood resolute, gazing at her the way she'd once glanced at me in the car's mirror, with cold indifference. My voice was even, almost eerily composed. Do you remember what you called me? A stray mutt, so easy to control, wagging my tail for crumbs. She sobbed harder, shaking her head. I didn't mean it, I swear. I cut her off. You meant every word. You didn't just insult me, you mocked our marriage, the years I spent building a life you never earned. Her breath hitched, words failing her. I leaned closer, my voice soft but firm. And now you've lost the one thing you thought you controlled me. As she reached for my hand, I stepped back, deliberate and firm. Wash your own bedding from now on. This house isn't yours anymore. She sank to her knees, pleading as I shut the door slowly, the locks click louder than her cries. She'd seen me as a pet to command. But she'd unleashed a man who'd learned silence and dignity outlast cruelty and arrogance. This was just the beginning of her reckoning. Closing that door wasn't the end. It was the first step. Shutting her out stripped her immediate refuge, but now I'd dismantle the illusion of power she still held. The next morning, with my lawyer's guidance, I froze our joint accounts and rerouted my income to a private one. For years, she'd mocked me as compliant while relying on my earnings for her extravagant spa trips, shopping sprees, and polished persona. Without those funds, her control vanished overnight. I didn't yell or post online, I acted with precision. I shared the truth selectively. Screenshots of her biting messages, dashcam audio of her laughter in the car, her final jab about the sheets. Her friends, family, and colleagues saw her not as the witty charmer, but as the callous wife who belittled her provider. Invitations dried up, calls stopped, and even her laughing friends distanced themselves, wary of her tarnished image. Quietly, I filed for divorce, armed with evidence of her emotional and verbal abuse. My lawyer confirmed the case was airtight, property secured, no spousal support, and if contested, custody would favor me. By the time she grasped the extent of her loss, her tears at my door were just the opening notes of a longer fall, each step echoing the cruelty she'd once found amusing. Her world unraveled quickly. Within weeks, her lifestyle collapsed. No more spa escapes, no designer purchases, no glamorous nights out. Her credit cards were declined, and the man she'd mocked as a tame pet wasn't there to bankroll her excesses. Bills piled up in her new apartment, stark reminders of her reliance on the husband she'd dismissed. Worse than the financial strain was the solitude. Her friends, once eager to laugh at my expense, now ignored her calls. The screenshots of her words, "stray mutt," she'd smell of him, circulated through social circles, marking her as cruel. Gatherings fell silent when she entered, eyes avoiding hers. She'd gone from the center of attention to an outcast. Then the divorce papers arrived, backed by undeniable proof of her abuse. Texts, recordings, and witness accounts painted her as entitled, leaving her lawyer scrambling. The judge was unmoved. No alimony, no assets, the house fully mine. The control she'd wielded was gone, the law itself turning against her. One evening, she stood on my porch again, voice shaking. I don't care about the money or the house. I just want you. But her words lacked truth, driven by fear, not love. I met her gaze with quiet strength. You didn't value me when I was yours. You only want me now that I'm gone. That's not love, it's desperation. I closed the door, leaving her to face the void she'd created. She'd laughed at controlling me, but now she was the one abandoned, pleading for scraps. Months later, I sat on the porch with my son, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise cast a warm glow over our quiet neighborhood. The house felt light, not because its walls had changed, but because the burden of her cruelty had lifted. My ex-wife drifted between borrowed couches and small rentals, her days of spa weekends and fine dining reduced to whispers of her downfall. Her friends had vanished, her reputation shattered by the truth of her words. Even her family spoke of her with quiet embarrassment, ashamed of how she'd treated the man who'd supported her. I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. I rebuilt my life with purpose, focusing on my work, my son, and my own growth. He'd once seen me mocked as weak. Now he saw me stand tall, not through anger or spite, but through calculated strength and dignity. When word reached me that she was seeking help, I recalled her laughter in the car, her friends' jeers, her careless words. Stray mutt, so easy to control. A faint smile crossed my lips. In the end, she was the one bound, not by me, but by the consequences of her own arrogance, abandoned by those she'd chosen over me. Was this justice perfectly delivered? Share your thoughts below. If this story of betrayal and retribution strikes a chord, share it with someone who needs its spark. Stay tuned for more tales where deception meets its reckoning, and every betrayal casts a long shadow.